Critical Critique Pools on point. Today we're going to be taking a trip back to our favourite little punching bag. We're seriously...
More communism this time around.
Yeah, we're seriously going to get done for targeted harassment if we keep bullying
I mean, it's
not our fault, okay?
No,
I mean, we did bully Monroe without lube, so you know what's worse.
We didn't treat Monroe too poorly. Like,
well, mostly each
the
other.
Monroe episode. The Monroe episode is more me and Ellie trying to bully each other, not us bullying.
Yeah, and me in the fucking middle of it, like just rolling my eyes.
Oh yeah, no, I was gone for that episode. When that uploads, I'm gonna be in for some shit.
You missed out on a real fucking treat, my dude.
It's great. Let's not hype it up too much, but like, it's probably already out by the time we're fucking talking about this. So like, but yeah, that episode was quite fun. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about communism and Dr. Stone.
The title, the thumbnail is Tsukasa with a red commie background, and he's going to explain, or the video title is Tsukasa's ideals in Dr. Stone and are bad, and here's why.
Right.
Well, because his ideals basically involve killing, being a mass genocidal maniac, I would assume they're bad.
I would assume too, but yeah, essentially, the thesis, from what I understand of this video, is that this guy is a primitive communist. That is Maname Matt's assessment, I believe. But we'll get into it and see let Maname Matt tell us for himself.
Grog sees means of production.
Yeah. All right. So let's start.
Like work, no have stone. Why must work?
So before we really take a deep dive here, let's talk about two things first. I love Dr. Stone, and I love the character.
Before we go way into the video, I just wanted to mention that he has a new intro music sound.
I haven't noticed.
And he had that how do you call it again? Outline, fill in whatever shadow of Nami shooting. And I believe that it wasn't there also before.
Interesting. So Dr. Stone, I've been watching that. I think it's alright. It's pretty fun. It's pretty good. Science.
I mean, I think I've read like the.
Sorry, cats. I had to get up. What did I miss?
We're talking about Dr. Stone.
I haven't started watching it.
Yeah, I think a friend told me about it, and I've read like the first chapter of the manga like ages ago. Like, it sounds like an interesting idea. It's like, hey, the world, you know, it's like rebuilding the world again, you know.
Yeah, it's an interesting show. There's a lot of science going on. It's pretty, it's fun. I like Doctor
I mean,
Stone.
at least it puts a lot more thought into, at least it puts a lot more thought than most, like, shonen. I mean, there's some shonen, especially battle shonen, but, you know.
Yeah, it's certainly something different. But let's see how this guy's ideals, ? Are
Casa, and I will talk about why that is more towards the end of the video. However, every time I sit down and really take the time to break down Tsukasa's arguments in the show, I just can't help but think, wow, this guy is an idiot. So today, I want to take some
Maname Matt.
Some projection right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, Maname Matt calling someone an idiot is kind of the pot calling the kettle black a little bit.
Okay, now at this point we actually are going to get
Okay, look, I had to get my one jab in there, right? Get that one little jab.
He only gets one per bully.
Because he was fucking, like, opening himself up for that one. Like, come on. Like, fuck.
Been a long road for Maname Matt.
Yeah. He's had a long journey on this show. The deep.
So we're gonna see an end to his character art, and one day he's gonna be right about something.
Yeah, it's gonna be the deep.
Yeah, we're gonna be like in our fucking 80s at this rate, but fuck it.
He'll become the right man, right? Let's continue.
break them down and show you just how dumb they are. But first, a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, The Wheel. Yes, literally one of the base innovations that created human civilization. You know, that same thing that Tsukasa doesn't think we should have, because he doesn't believe in the advancement of technology. Wait, I'm sorry, I'm really getting ahead of myself here. So first, what ideals of Tsukasa's are we talking about today? Well, I think we'll start with his original set of ideals that seem rather, well, stupid, then go into depth as to what his ideals evolve into, which is even stupider. So when Tsukasa is first released from his stone, we get the idea that he is a little ridiculous when, you know, he kills a lion with his bare hands. Yes, that really happens.
I think he's... Dr. Stone is over the top. It is, you know, the faces, the things, the amount of progress and the ridiculous amount of stuff Senku knows, the science guy. He knows how you can make bread, how you can make medicine, right down of each single step. He knows how he can recognize every stone and recognize the elements of which elements it has, etc. He knows basically every...
So what you're saying is this cartoon is a cartoon.
Yeah, and he's taking
and also like this character seems like pretty strong. Like he seems like a dude who could punch a lion.
I believe it is established within the deep lore of the show that he was like a boxer or some shit. Like
yeah.
See,
but
yeah, so it's ridiculous, but it is internally consistent.
Yeah, so I think
it's internally consistent. Like he's just really strong. So
I think the show is basically saying this is an archetype, and this character represents all of is one thing. It is might. Tsukasa is basically might, and is it Taich? How is he called again? He's gone after like, was it the sixth episode? So I've already forgot his name. Taichu Taku.
Yeah, the dude. Yeah, I know
the dude. About. The dude is strength. The girl is Yuziraha is dexterity like apparently, and Senku is science. And yeah, so if Tsukasa is might, then he will be mightier than a lion, and the reason why Senku knows every science fact ever created is because he is science. So I think if recognize that these are representations of concept and not characters in these situations. It is not Senku who is talking when he's explaining how you make medicine from nothing. It is science that is talking at that point.
Yeah. It's it's like you mentioned, a character. It's archetypes used as symbology for concepts rather than And again, as Lolly mentioned, the cartoon is a cartoon, right? Like it's not like it's not internally consistent. And it's not like it's
I mean, a lot of these series do break like.
It's not like it's completely immersion breaking within the show's internal logic to have a guy punch out a lion when you've got a guy who is like fucking science genius man who's able to like and do millions of years worth of technological advancement in like a weekend. So not.
Yeah, and also like a lot of these series, like especially shonen, do basically break the laws of physics more. Like, you know, how people are taking these hits that would kill a normal man or seriously injure them.
I think the issue...
Like, shonen does have that, like, aesthetic. Like, shonen do have that aesthetic,
I think...
like, insane in combat is more, I guess, realistic in a sense.
I think the issue here with Maname Map is that he's using a suspension of disbelief argument, right? He's using the idea of, oh, look at this completely unrealistic thing. It completely... It's crazy. It shouldn't... Like, it doesn't make any sense, such and such and such and such, right? But the issue with that is that, again, it's not reality. It's not. It doesn't have to be realistic, right? Like, it's not how that works.
It sets up its own rules.
It's both not. It's both not engaging the show and going with the suspension of disbelief and not recognizing what the show is trying to do.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
not getting both is kind of annoying.
A little bit. Right, so let's keep going.
But soon, after he's free, he begins doing some questionable things. Most notably, committing mass genocide. Once again, yes, that really happens. You see, one time when he was a kid, an adult on a beach was really mean to him. So he decided he would kill every adult in the world. Yes, that is really the case. Granted,
Okay.
Would that be mass murder and not genocide? Because genocide implies you're targeting it to a specific.
Well,
ethnic
yes, he is.
Genocide implies like an entire erasure of of like. I guess you could argue that he's trying to genocide adults. As stupid as that sounds, right? It is stupid.
Well, he's basically trying to genocide society as a whole.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, I think it's true that genocide might not be the correct word, but I think if you twist it enough, you could probably make it work.
So basically, Minimet explained this horribly, and it's not a good sign for the rest of the video. But basically, Tsukasa is basically blaming society and society's evil as corrupt, and he wants to only have children come back to life from stone, and all the adults who are corrupt by the society and the systems should go. So it's not.
Oh, so he just hates boomers.
Yeah, that too.
I'm starting to get vibes of like the noble savage like concept. Like, is that like the idea he's going for? Like, these adults have been corrupted by society, so I need to raise these children in sort of like the noble savage sort of variety.
Yeah, he's trying basically to be free of a society's evils and the corrupting influences of it. The problem is, of course, that you can never maintain it, and he's killing everybody to get to that, so that's not really a good thing either.
Yeah, and what happens if those people found out that you killed their families or some shit like that? Like, they can run away from you or form their own societies or groups, because humans are social animals, because we live in a society because humans are social animals.
We live in a society, yeah. I'm with Elliot and both of you on that. I think that Matt is just not explaining it very well, because I think he's trying to exaggerate to make it seem crazier than what it might be, right? Because I can understand I can understand the logic of the character, right? I can understand the logic of, right, I had this incident happen to me in the past that was traumatic, right? So he's had a traumatic experience which has coloured his perception of society and the world as it was at the time, which means that now he doesn't wish to return to that same society. He wants to create a new society from the ground up, right? Which doesn't require technological advancements and all that. A more basic, more simple lifestyle, right?
And there's actually nothing like inherently wrong with that. Like, that's where, like, if you ever played like Fallout, for example, you have all these different factions and stuff that live different ways.
You see, the issue is that his means to get to that end is he wants to essentially kill all of the adults, or kill people that are against him, and use of murder is justified within his eyes. That's where the problem lies. Like, ideologically, he has a solid concept. It's just that his execution requires or involves the mass murder of tons of people. That's the issue.
Yeah,
so he's a flawed character, interesting.
And it is a little bit of the Death Note hypocrisy, where of course light kills innocent people because it stands in the way of justice. Tsukasa is trying to kill Senku, a child, in the name of his society. So there goes his noble and righteous convictions of the children should be allowed to live.
It's almost like there's more going on with the show.
Yeah, moral complications.
Yeah, so yeah, let's keep going.
Am oversimplifying a bit, but basically, here is Tsukasa's line of thought.
Again, he keeps doing this. He did this with the Yoko Senki video too. It's like he admits that he's not like he's fucked up, right? Like he admits that it's a problem, but he's not doing anything to address the problem, right? Like, oh, I'm oversimplifying it. Well, if you know you're oversimplifying it, right, then why don't you fucking take the time to not oversimplify it? Why?
Well,
I mean, Ellie just explained it to us in like a minute or two. Like, why couldn't this guy do that? It's not that fucking hard.
well, he's going to explain
Like,
something
if I read
now.
Dr. Stone today, even I could fucking explain this dude's ideals.
Oh,
Well, he's
lost
going
it.
to explain something
oh,
now,
we
so let's see.
Ellie, you're roboting.
Yeah.
Oh
we lose-
no.
we
Well, we
lose-
won't
we
hear this in
lose-
the recording
we'll-
anyway.
Technology is trying to kill Ellie. Oh no. Alright, well, while Ellie is trying to hopefully get his stuff sorted,
Well, that's
Yeah.
a shame.
while Ellie's trying to possibly have his internet get fixed, I will continue the video.
If we begin releasing the adults, they will try their best to reclaim their own land. Thus, they will try to turn the world back into what it was, which was a corrupted mess. By keeping only the children alive, he believes he can remold humanity into something pure, thus resetting the clock on humanity. Which, honestly, if you don't put any thought into it, doesn't sound that bad. So let's actually break down this argument. First, what did adults have that gave them an unfair advantage over youth? Well, that's easy. Time. Adults were able to get into positions of power through simply being alive longer. Thus, in order to
Stop.
hold
There's also the fact that adults' bodies are more developed, and also adults have experience as well,
I'm also
which
Well,
makes
that's related to
what
time.
I'm also failing to understand is the fact that youth is going to end up becoming adults at some point, right? It kind of
unless they've invented like the fountain of
unless
youth.
he's like gonna be like fucking brainwashing people, like the youth still remembers how the world was if he's fucking releasing people from stone, right? Like the teenagers are going to remember what the world was. They're going to remember the fact that they had cell phones and all this other shit, right? They're not. It's a very flawed fucking plan that he's got. Is where I'm getting at. Like,
I mean, if you wanna live like if you wanna be like if you wanna live in like some prehistoric sort of tribal society, you can do it because like in Fallout they have factions that do the exact same thing. They have factions that are like, listen, technology led us to our own decline and destruction, so we're gonna keep things simple,
right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, the
You know,
problem,
to his-
there's a slight problem in that children too, of course, but adults primarily know society and know the privileges that it gave. So, and I disagree with that time is the thing that granted the adults an advantage. It was the systems that granted their privilege and their own ownership and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because with the thing about time is not everybody gets the opportunity, or not everybody is capable of being as efficient in their usage of time.
Alright, let's continue.
the power for even longer, they have to turn corrupt. I don't really believe that, but it's to make a point. So, Mr. Tsukasa, as far as you know, you are currently the third human alive, which basically puts you at the top of that food chain. So as time passes and you bring more and more children from stone to human, your position will be pretty safe. You know, because you've been around longer and can establish your dominance through that unfair advantage of time that the very adults you hated so much used.
Again, he's trying to make the same point that I did of the idea of, like, he's doing the same thing the adults are doing. Eventually, people are going to grow up and become adults, so it doesn't make sense, right? He's attempting to make that same point, but he's doing it using this time argument, which, as Ali pointed out, I don't
and also
think it
just
works.
because. Yeah, also, just because you're older than someone doesn't mean you're stronger than them, because who's to say that they won't become strong and overthrow you? Like, dominance hierarchies aren't exactly all about age.
Yeah,
Like, for example, like, psychopaths, they usually, like, psychopaths like psychopaths and sociopaths, for example, they usually reach the top of dominance hierarchies very quickly.
I mean, just look at cucks and how they sneak their way up those fucking hierarchies.
It depends in the case of sociopaths, because you actually... Okay, so the media tends to have a very skewed view on sociopathy and psychopathy. Most people who are legitimately sociopath don't tend to get very far in life. It's a very rare thing for somebody to be able to both be antisocial to that extent, and also be able to form power or ties. Most of them end up in trailer parks. That's a very blunt way to put it, but that's actually genuinely the case. They tend to be, how their behavior tends to deny them opportunities more than give them opportunities. Basically, most people seem to think that all sociopaths are like, Patrick Bateman or something, and that's not the case at all.
Obviously, but they can reach, like, especially people with sociopathic or psychopathic traits, they will reach the top of dominance hierarchies very quickly. Like Noretsu mentioned, like your local cucks. I mean, they just have a different strategy.
I don't think cuckoldry would have anything to do with sociopathy or psychopath. I get it's a joke. I get it's a joke.
It's partly a joke, but it's also, again, they're trying to climb a different type of hierarchy, right? They're trying to climb sort of this... Because
that's just social manipulation.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with sociopathy.
Oh yeah,
You tend to lack.
I'm not making the.
You tend to lack empathy, and empathy is required for manipulation.
I'm not making the point that it's related to psychopathy. I'm mentioning just the fact that it is a separate way to climb a hierarchy, like their hierarchy, right? Because they couldn't compete in the normal hierarchy, they've created their own. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, basically, dominance hierarchies are fluid, like they change. Like, just because you're in charge today doesn't mean you'll be in charge next week. So let's continue.
I'll click.
And eventually, you too will be corrupted by it. You see where I'm going with this, right? Basically, Tsukasa's goal is less of being someone who wants the world to be pure and free of adults, to someone who really wants to become his own god and is willing to destroy anyone who would ever have a chance of standing in his way. Hence why his first targets are adults.
I strongly disagree, because I also disagree a little bit with what you said before. I don't think that in Tsukasa's society there will be hierarchy. He will try to set up a system, a society where there is no hierarchy, therefore avoiding the problem of himself becoming a god and such.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen any evidence that he is specific, like you mentioned, like he's trying to become like the god of this thing that he's trying to make. I feel like that's a little bit of projection on Anime Matt's part, on the like he's projecting what he believes the ideals are, or what the motivations are, rather than what they actually are.
I mean, sure, he's the enforcer. He's the architect and the enforcer, but I don't think he'll ever even... I would even believe that he's dissuading people from naming him as a god or as a leader.
Right.
He's enforcer, he's the architect, but not the king.
Right.
Yeah, he's basically like might is right. Like, he's essentially the fucking warlord kind of character, Like, I am the leader because of my martial prowess.
Well, no.
Strength.
He's not the leader. He's just the one who is enforcing his own society on the rest of them. Slight difference.
Might makes... Yeah, I know, but so might makes right. Got it.
Alright, let's continue.
AKA people who know better, and Senku. Which leads me to his second set of ideals that evolve out of this. He truly believes that humans should return to their roots and give up technology. His line of thought shifted from adults are the reason people became corrupted to technology is the reason people became corrupted. Which is just wrong. First of all, before we even begin...
Mehmet is wrong because it's not. Senku is a threat to Tsukasa's idea of a perfect civilization because Senku's plan to revive adult is basically in direct conflict of that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that Tsukasa's problem in the first place is really technology, because who cares really what you can do with a bunch of rocks?
Yeah, his.
It's just that that Tsukasa hates technology because in the show Senku is technology.
Right.
I think you have to go back to the concepts that they embody. If you kill Senku, you kill technology. Therefore, technology and Senku are the same. So Tsukasa wants to kill technology is basically a synonym for killing Senku.
Right.
Did I say it right?
I think so.
I think.
And the other thing is that it's more of an ideological conflict because Senku wants to revive all of humanity and bring everything back to where it was. That's his aim, right? He wants to rebuild the entirety of what we had, whereas Tsukasa wants to rebuild in a different manner, right? He wants to change what it was. He wants to start anew, use this opportunity to, so it's a conflict of ideology, right? It's a conflict of the ideals that these two characters hold, and that's why they split from each other, right? Because they have two different philosophies.
And I believe also because not to confuse the story and to keep things simple, the reason why Tsukasa doesn't have technology is because Senku isn't there. And it would make for a strange story if Tsukasa wants to kill technology but has technology in his own village. For that reason, Tsukasa doesn't have technology because Senku isn't there.
And also, like, why did humans invent technology? It's because to make things easier. Like, you know, like Grug the caveman, he invented spear and club so he could fight, you know, elephant and like mammoths and rhinos and saber-toothed tigers that were threatening Grug's family. Like, because basically humans, we sacrificed our ability to fight on our own. We sacrificed it basically for higher intelligence, and so with our higher intelligence, we invented tools, which is technology, to supplement that. Like, we don't have claws, we don't have fangs, we don't have armor like other creatures do.
But we
invented tools.
We have the mental capacity to create those things. The shortcomings, yeah.
You know, like how can Grug, you know, battle the saber-toothed tiger? Oh, Grug gets stick and rock and stab tiger. Grug win.
Yeah, but
Grug make clothes out of tiger.
But Tsukasa doesn't have a problem with that level of technology, and like I said, I don't believe that outside of Senku, I don't believe that Tsukasa really has a problem with technology. I think it's just a thematic choice to make.
Well, maybe he has a problem with the technology. Maybe he has a problem with like the technology of modern society because you know there are some people that say you know technology is taking over our lives,
well,
I can't disagree.
Again, I've watched the show, right, and I think that it's more along the lines of what Ellie's saying. I don't think he is necessarily like hard, fast anti-technology. He's definitely anti-modern type technology, definitely, but I don't think he's particularly anti-it for the reason of just being anti-it. I think it's the ideological conflict, right? It's the idea of, you know, those types of ideas clashing rather than the idea of just technology bad, right? Like, again, there's more to it, right? That Matt he hasn't gotten to it yet, and I don't know if he's going to get to it, but like there's more to the conflict than just technology versus primitivism, right? It's like Ellie said, like it's more thematic, right? It's the thematic framing of the conflict rather than the conflict itself. So yeah, let's continue.
Debunking this horrible way of thought, let's examine some of the just basic problems with this argument. First, what even counts as technology? Are we going Amish where everything created before the 1700s is fair game? I mean, technically, Tsukasa, no one ever stopped you from joining an Amish commune when you were a kid, so you must be wanting the abolishment of all technology. After all, you have expressed interest in.
So he's missing the point.
Yeah, he is. But I want to let him to just finish this point, because what's he going to say that he's shown interest in?
Returning humans back into their primitive states. So...
Okay, so he's shown interest in reverting humans back to their primitive states. He hasn't specifically said that he hasn't said that he wants to eliminate all technology, right? Like, he's not...
I think he's going to say something, but he uses primitive technology. Why is he okay with that? Or something stupid, but...
I don't get it.
I'm the wrong man. I didn't read books.
Let's let him get to that, and then we'll talk about it.
That spear you used earlier, it's gotta go. You know that fire thing? Well, that's actually chemistry at work, so you can't use that either. So you've already broken a ton of rules yourself.
Again, I don't think he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He doesn't, there are people that do this kind of primitive, like, fucking shit, and it's like, you don't understand.
There's literally people that, like, abandon society and live in, like, fucking huts and stuff and live off the land because they're just kind of like, hey, I'm sick of... I want to take a break. I want to get away. I want to get back to my roots, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. Just some people need to get away from society because society is a bunch of crap.
Matt is, again, he's focusing on this technological aspect when that's not even the most interesting fucking thing in the conflict, right? Like, the technology aspect is not the main deal.
Yeah, and I'm pretty convinced in my idea of the show where Tsukasa only hates technology because Senku is technology.
Yeah. And that's... I would agree with that, having watched the show. Sorry. Yeah, I would agree with that, having watched the show, that I think that it's certainly more thematics and the framings rather than the actual conflict. And again, like this, I don't like this kind of, like, gotcha, right? That he's like, ooh, well, you know, you...
Oh, I'm so smart. I outsmarted the show.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of similar to the good old, oh, you hate capitalism so much, so why are you using a cell phone kind of argument? Which I do find quite humorous, and I do enjoy that argument, but I do agree that it's very, simplistic, right? And very, not, it's
everything
not a
has
particularly,
layers.
Productive method, like point to make, and it is kind of a gotcha.
It's whataboutism.
Yeah. And it's, I feel like that's kind of what Matt is getting into here. He's getting into that same kind of just gotcha argument rather than actually trying to analyze what he's talking about. In a sense. So, let's keep going.
Yourself, and must in yourself, because now, through your own logic, you've become corrupted. The contradictions don't even stop there.
His own logic. You haven't explained to us what his logic even is. Like, he hasn't. He hasn't explained, like again.
You know, it kind of reminds me of that. I think it reminds me of that Zero video where basically trying to explain that 2 + 2 = 5, but they're not explaining. They're not explaiing how it equals that. They're just saying it equals that before explaining it.
He's making statements like, "Oh, he hates technology," and this is his ideals and shit. But he's not explaining what. Again, it's like.
Well, he did say that Tsukasa hates old people because they have more time, and he hates society because he can't pick up shells from the beach.
But the connection between those things and the hate of technology is where I have the problem here. He's not explaining why the hate of technology actually is a thing, right? He's just kind of...
Well, he said I mean, we pause for a very long time, and he did say after seeing Senku, Tsukasa connected society, shifted from society to technology, and now he wants to kill all technology, which is weird because he's na 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 na.
Alright, so maybe I missed
So
that
he
part
did
then.
make a connection. Yeah, it's long
Yeah,
pauses.
maybe I missed that part, but it's, again, I don't know, I just feel like he could be going in more. Alright, I feel like there's more here that could be talked about, but he's not doing it. But anyway, let's continue.
I mean, he literally has to use chemistry to free other people so he can begin building his own cult. Because that's basically what he's doing, whether he realizes it or not. You see, at the end of the day, he is subconsciously trying to build a society where he will always end up on top. Not many people can kill a lion barehanded, so why not make physical strength the deciding factor of who gets to rule? It's like if I got the option to remake society and decided to choose that the God King Emperor is decided by whomever watches the most hentai.
So
it'd be me.
But
I don't know. I also watch a bunch of hentai as well. Lolly, do you
I've
want
watched.
to?
I've watched. I'm sorry, man.
Alright, but
But the
No,
thing
I wanna
is,
be the
is that
fucking God Emperor,
nothing,
fuck you.
nothing has indicated so far in the anime, and let's be honest, he only watched the anime. Nothing in the anime has indicated that Tsukasa's society is ruled by physical might.
yeah, we haven't actually seen a lot.
Yeah, and it could be that Tsukasa, he's gonna be like, at worst, it seems like Tsukasa is like, if the society, like, if he makes a society and it continues even beyond he dies, like, Tsukasa's just gonna be like, oh, he was the first chief or the tribal leader, and someone else will take his place and carry on his ideals.
I've watched the anime, I'm up to date on it, right? We haven't actually seen how his society functions yet. We've had a character show up that is a part of his group, tangentially, possibly going to betray him, right? But we haven't actually gotten into what it's like to live under his current state of society. From what we do know is that this character has mentioned that he is definitely providing for the people that he currently has residing within his group. However, it's not like the system has not been explained yet. So we don't actually know, as of the current state of the anime, what kind of system or hierarchical system or how he is like structuring the current state
or lack of
I
hierarchy.
mean, it could be basically like Tarzan, essentially, like that.
so
Like everyone with loincloths is swinging from
so
trees and
I
like,
don't think
oh.
it's good that Matt is kind of making this point as if he knows what the society that he's going to make has turned out to be, because we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen. We haven't seen like what the system even is yet. Like, is he like going to have a hierarchical system where he has a council? Is the council made up of different people with different abilities? Is he going to have a system where it's just him on top and he just provides for everyone? Or is he going to have a system where he's going to have right, you are the hunters, you are, like, is he going to have a caste system, right? Like, we don't have like any knowledge.
Is it going to be a meritocracy?
Whoever's
the strongest becomes leader?
We don't know what it is as of the current state of the anime, right? And since, of course, as Ali mentioned, he's probably only watched the anime, unless he wants to get into the manga, which is obviously probably definitely gone into that by now, right? There's not, like, you shouldn't be making these statements.
And my own opinion from what I know of Tsukasa from the anime is that to avoid civilization and the evils that he knows of it, he's going to create something that lacks hierarchy.
Right.
So I very much disagree.
Squatopia. You never saw that? Have you ever watched what was it? Xavier Renegade Angel?
Nah.
Oh, so you don't know. When I say Squatopia, you don't remember. Somebody in the audience might know what Squatopia is, and yeah. It was an anarchy thing. It was a joke where the anarchists made this like place called Squatopia, where everyone has squatters rules, basically.
Sounds
right,
great.
Let's keep going.
you will all be bowing to me. And if someone disagrees with how I run things, I already have so much power at that point that the last thing that they will ever see is a large tentacle monster. It's granted.
Jokes.
What's to stop
funny,
someone from
jokes
fucking
funny.
killing
Alright,
you?
let's keep going.
A much more
yeah.
ridiculous situation, but equally true for Tsukasa's ideals. Society
God, that was
is
the best you
ruled
could
by
come
the
up with.
strongest. Except, I decide who can be a part of society, and if someone looks almost as strong as me, maybe an earthquake happens and they crumble before we can
You're
ever...
really into the weeds here with this.
Yeah, he's completely under the assumption, and this all that he has, that Tsukasa's...
The rest of this video is just fluff, I think.
Yeah, it's so flawed.
Yeah, and also,
it's just
like,
assuming
also-
that society is ruled by might, when he has no evidence for
No.
it.
Yeah, and also, like, just because you're the king doesn't mean you won't get assassinated or someone will try and take you on. Like, fuck, crack open a history book, and that
happens
happened all
all
the
the fucking
goddamn
time.
time, because guess what? When you're on the top of the fucking... Yeah, listen, when you're on the fucking top of the pile, other people also want to be on the top of the pile, and guess what? You're on top of the
Read
pile,
rules for
so fuck
dictators
you.
or whatever it's
Like, that's what's
Well,
gonna happen.
It happens with chimpanzees. You'll actually see it, where when the leader of the tribe gets too old, at some point one of them's gonna run up and start pushing them over. And in one extreme case I read, held them down, and everyone came up and pummeled him with rocks. And then the one who led the rebellion was the new king. Death to the king, long live the new king.
rescue them, or hey, the guy over there who's pretty smart and is making a weapon that could make him the strongest society, and wow, oh no, now I banned technology and I have to kill him real quick. Quick question, does a person like that sound a bit familiar to you? Like, I don't know, maybe you've heard of him, but that's something that Joseph Stalin did to rice.
What?
No.
What?
Joseph Stalin didn't ban technology. You're thinking the Pol Pot,
What?
for one.
What?
Also, Joseph Stalin was a fucking
that
madman.
aside, right? Lolly's right. Like, I do not recall Joseph Stalin banning the use of technology in the Communist Union.
He used technology to fight the Germans in World War II.
I can't believe I'm having the up top commies here, but no, he did not ban the progression of technology.
All right, I want to see
That
where
was
this
not
goes,
his-
and then we're gonna keep on this because this is important. I want to see where he goes with it.
To power.
Okay,
So,
no.
yeah,
So he's just
Tsukas-
like he bet like what? What? Yeah, I want to
Go
hear him
back
say
a
that
bit.
again. I want to make sure we're not like wrong, right? So I'm just gonna click and drag just a little bit. Okay.
This
okay,
is almost
everyone,
just a mediocre
everyone
video,
be
and he
quiet
says something
and
stupid
listen
like
to what
this.
he says.
Joseph Stalin did to rise to power.
So he
So,
says that Joseph Stalin banned technology to rise to power. That is not how.
And
That is not how that went down.
Read history books, motherfucker.
No, you don't.
Read.
No.
Well, no, he's read it.
No.
Yeah, he's read it. Didn't you watch his Yojo Senkai? Didn't you watch his Yojo Senkai video?
You don't.
I did,
You
and he's
don't-
still fucking
no,
wrong.
you-
Read history
don't
books, you
even need
motherfucker.
to read history books. Like the most basic YouTube video on the history of the fucking Soviet Union. Like his rise to power was not because he like rejected technology or banned technology. I have no fucking idea where he got this from.
Yeah, like, actually, it's fun. Yeah, fun fact about Joseph Stalin
Like-
is that he was actually a fucking avid film buff, and when they conquered the Nazis, he inherited, like, John something's
Right, but, like-
film collection, and he used to watch, like, gangster
Yeah,
movies
but,
with
like,
his staff and
The
shit.
issue here is, again, where is he getting this from? Like, is he, like, conflating the whole, like, farming, communist theories of farming and, like, the famines and all that shit? Is he, like, conflating that with, like, not liking
No.
technology or something? Like, I'm really confused.
Well,
The
There
only
is-
the only actual comparison I can think of that's within the communist, thing would be Pol Pot, because he was trying to bring the Cambodians back to a primitive agricultural society, which screwed up in very horrific ways. You can read about all those fantastic war crimes by typing in Khmer Rouge somewhere in Google, but that would be the better comparison, because Joseph Stalin did have a research division for technology. He did have
they shot a fucking satellite
God.
into space. The communists fucking I mean, again, I not as much as I don't like.
Well, haven't you picked up the fucking history book Neretsu with the space race never
happened. Like, as much as I don't like the commies, right? As much as I'm not very into the ideology and all that shit, I'm at least gonna give them the credit that they're due, that they did in fact have some technological advancements, right? But then again, you can say the same about the fucking Nazis, right? Like, it's not a massive fucking thing.
Yeah, then the Nazis come up with a lot of innovations with tanks and warfare and shit,
and a few other things.
And here's the other thing. It would be a better comparison with Joseph Stalin if he had stole Siku's technology, because that is also something that would happen. It would happen back and forth, mind you, but the Russians would absolutely steal technology.
So I have to. Yeah, I'm very much. I think this is a shit comparison. What do you think, Ellie? Because I know you've been trying to talk, but we've been interrupting you. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. There is one point of comparison, but it's not really specifically Stalin. It is Tsukasa's radical revolution that he's attempting. Basically, my way or die, and everybody who disagrees is stoned, so die. And I'm going to make my society and fuck everybody else. Basically, the good old communist revolution where everybody of the bourgeoisie must die, let the proletariats rise up and make the perfect civilization.
And then become the bourgeoisie themselves, and they start all over again.
Well,
you know a lot about communism, Ellie. Let's see, you gonna start your revolution soon?
Starting with
the pure blood.
Let's not
European
get too
revolution.
Into the commie bashing, right? Like, because that's not going to go anywhere, right? That's actually like.
I'm not getting into the bashing. It's just man, that was such a this was nearly just a mediocre video that didn't say a lot, and then he had to say something stupid.
The rest of the video is just standard anime laissez-faire. I can kind of forgive, it's expected, right? But then this is just so fucking come on, dude. This is just so out there. It's fuck, god damn.
Yeah, and really, if Tsukasa is a radical revolutionist, then Senku is basically a hardcore conservative. He's basically just trying to bring back or preserve and bring back the society that he knows, which is pretty conservative actually. But Tsukasa is the hardcore revolutionary lefty that wants to upheaval the whole system and do something new.
Alright, let's keep going. Fucking hell.
Yeah, Tsukasa, whether or not he realizes it, is quickly trying to establish himself as basically a god, killing all of those who he deems as threats and being the one who holds the power to something literally called the miracle liquid. I can say with 10 million% certainty that this is a bad combination. So does this make Tsukasa a bad villain? Of course not. To me, this makes him an incredible villain. He truly believes he's doing the right thing. But
I will give him credit on this. I do think that it's a good character, right? I think that it is a very interesting, villain, right? I don't think I would go so far as to say, oh, he's amazing. He's this fan, I wouldn't be sucking his cock as much as.
Well, I think that I think
wouldn't
the
be
idea
sucking
is cool.
his dick as much as Matt seems to be right now, but I definitely would agree that.
Well, Matt is under the Yeah, but Matt is under the assumption that Tsukasa is trying to become
which
a
is
god
with
rule of might and
which
all
is
that
false,
stuff.
But I'll give him the point that it's an interesting concept and it's an interesting character, right? I'll give him that. But I did, he's wrong on that. Like he's not trying to become a god.
And I missed the point where characters with unrealistic expectations and goals are by default bad villains. So I was kind of surprised when he said, "I don't think Tsukasa is a bad villain. I never got that impression that he should be a bad villain for these reasons." But that was just me, maybe.
Look, if a villain has a morally questionable, if a villain or hero has a morally questionable or even hypocritical aspect to them, they're not allowed to be good. There's no way you could write that good. Anime Matt has spoken. Look, he works in Hollywood, okay? That gave us such fantastic films as Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
He has a film degree, Lolly. Didn't you know? Didn't you know that he has a film degree? Because he keeps. Did
he get it out of a Cracker Jack box?
That he has a film degree. But anyway, let's continue.
Is too dumb to realize that he's basically just trying to make himself the god king of this world. His ideals are idiotic once you do any sort of...
Just maybe, because he isn't.
Just maybe. Just maybe.
He'd be based if he was, though. That's a high IQ move.
Critical thinking.
You mean like Riku Fag, who thinks he's a god?
I guess that's why Senku looked at him like he was a moron when he first confronted him about it. Senku probably quickly connected the dots and realized what Tsukasa was really building, and understood that simply explaining how many holes there are in his ideals would result in him getting killed a lot earlier than he had planned on. And that is why Tsukasa's ideals in Dr. Stone are dumb. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, Dr. Stone is one of my favorite anime.
Typical. This is just a typical Anime Mad episode, except that one point is so out there. That is so fucking out there. I can't even, fucking Christ, man. Again, do some fucking research. He was on Twitter, right, trying to defend this shit. He's like, oh, I'm just having a casual discussion video. Blah, blah, blah. Dude, people are not asking for much. People are not asking you to, sit down and read, 5,000 books. Although doing that would actually probably not be a bad idea, right?
Yeah, why not do it? Considering people are giving you apparently money on Patreon about for this.
Dude, I will actually, my name Matt. I've got history books on PDF. I will send you some of these books.
There you go. Bio
I will send you them
up,
if you want
right?
them.
Bio's gonna hook you up with some fucking sick ass books, right? But listen, Matt. People are getting at your shit because you're not doing the bare minimum. All you have to do is just do the most bare minimum level of research. Just go on Wikipedia and type in Joseph Stalin rise to power or some shit, right? And just read about it. Or just watch a fucking YouTube video. There are so many history channels out there that you can watch when you're bored, right? You got nothing else to do? Just watch a fucking history video or something.
Yeah, when I play video games, I usually pop on some educational podcast or something political to listen to.
You're making these statements about things, but you clearly don't know what you're talking about. And then when people call you out on it, you're trying to hide behind this idea of, oh well, I'm just a casual channel. I don't care about doing all this research. And I don't quite remember what his tweets were, but it was something along those lines. And it's dude, people are not asking you for much. It's not fucking hard to just have basic knowledge on a lot of things. It's a 5-minute YouTube video. Just go.
It doesn't even have to be that he necessarily just needs to read more. Every time he makes a claim in his script, put a little asterisk next to it and put a note that says I should fact check this.
Just spend half an hour doing that, and just fact check your shit. Just make sure that you're not saying something stupid, right? All of these problems could be easily fucking solved, right? And it's we're trying to help you, man. We're trying to help you be better. We want you to succeed.
Dude, I am completely 100% serious. I will hook you up with the PDFs I have about history, philosophy, whatever you need, bro.
Yeah,
and if I don't have it, I'll find
the
it. Like,
information's
I
out
will
there
hook
is
you
what
up
I'm getting
seriously.
at. Like, it's not. It's annoying because a lot of the stuff that he gets wrong is like common knowledge. Like Stalin's rise to power should be like common core fucking knowledge.
I mean, also, if you're charging, like, if you've got a Patreon, at least
but
be
back
right
to
on
the video,
most
though,
things.
right? Like, I feel like he's misinterpreting the character quite a bit, and he's construing a lot of things, and he's making it about the one particular aspect, which is the technology versus primitivism, which I don't think is the main focus of the ideological conflict at all. I think the ideological conflict comes more from the idea of, we lost Ali. Yeah, he said continue in the chat, so
again.
don't stop your recordings, and if you have, just don't speak. Basically, yeah, his issue is that he fuck, I've lost. This is completely fucking lost my train of thought now. I was ranting about this, and now I've lost it. Okay.
Be back in a second.
All right, there goes bio. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, his issue is that he kind of. Fuck, I've lost it now. Damn it, Ellie! You made me lose my fucking like train of thought there on that. Like I was having a really good rant and a really good fucking like point about like the video, and then you completely fucking made me lose it. So damn it, it's gone forever. All right.
Guys, I'm gonna go in a few minutes,
All
so
right,
I'm gonna stop my recording.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah. I'll stop mine.
All right. Well, I want to finish up just because Ali hasn't done his final points,
All right.
and then we'll let Ali go because Ali should be able to do his final points, and then we'll cap the episode.
Yeah. The video is misunderstanding the themes of the show, misunderstanding what the characters are, misunderstanding the motivations of characters, and yeah, what else? It's basically just big old misunderstanding and lack of research.
Or before I got mistrailed, I think I was talking about the fact that he's focusing quite a lot on the technological versus primitivism conflict, when that's not, I believe, the main conflict. I believe the main conflict is the ideological conflict of do we reconstruct the world as it was, or do we create a new world? I believe that is the actual ideological conflict of the show.
Yeah, and whether or not Tsukasa uses a spear is in complete violation of his incredibly consistent ban on technology.
And I don't even believe, like, he hasn't got, like, a ban on technology from what I've understood in the show. Like, he's not, like, anti-technology to the point, right, of, you know, whatever. And also, primitivism, like, as a whole, is more, you know, like, stuff like spears and fire and all that shit. Like, you can do that kind of shit primitively. Like, that's not hard, you know. Go find primitive technology on YouTube. That dude will fucking teach you some shit about primitive technology. But anyway, I think that's about all.
They built some good houses.
Damn good houses. But anyway.